I'm going to start by showing you how to document a website into Noodle Tools before we get into the actual parenthetical documentation part, just in case anyone needs a little review. If you feel like you're okay with this, you might want to scroll through and fast forward to the part where we actually get to the parenthetical, but I just want to make sure that if you want a quick review that this is available to you. So I have found a source that I'm going to use for my Great Pyramid flyer, and you'll see up here that I have a whole bunch of tabs open, so it's easy for me to go back and forth from one page to the next. You'll see my Noodle tools, so I already have a project started for the Great Pyramid, and you'll see that I already have two sources on there. My print source, which was the book that I used, and then I had gone to World Book Student and used a online reference source. So now I just went onto the Great World Wide Web, and I found National Geographic, which has a great website with lots of information about the Great Pyramid. And I took notes, put them on my research chart, so the next step is for me to enter it into Noodle Tools. Now this one is actually going to be a website because I just went into Google and searched it out. It's not anything that I needed to use a password to get into like on Info Ohio. And so when you're looking for the name of the website, oftentimes if you click on the home page, you'll see that there's an icon that is there on every page no matter what page you're on, and that's going to be the title of your website. So this is National Geographic. And to find the publisher of the site, if I'm not sure what to look for, it tells me here. But I can also scroll to the bottom of the page, and not sure if you can quite see it, but it's next to the copyright date, National Geographic Society. The most recent date of access would be what I'm doing right now, so I'm going to leave that blank and go look for a copyright date, and it says 1996 to, and there's nothing there. I'm thinking it's to the present, but I want to go back to maybe the home page and see if there's a ending date on there, and there is 1996 to 2013. Whoops. And so since it's a page or a date range, we put them all in there, and it'll fit 1996 to 2013. And then I want to go back to the actual page that I'm using, not the home page, but the actual page where I took my research for Noodle Tools. And I just found something neat that I'll show you that you can do here in a second. So the next thing it asks me about is this specific page. And if I look on here, I'm looking to see if there's an author for this page, and I see a photograph, but nothing about the actual writing of this. So that would make me think that National Geographic has their own team of writers, and they don't credit just one individual one for this particular site. And so looking at the title, I'd say it's Great Pyramid because it's specific to this one article that I'm looking at. So I'm going to leave contributor empty and type in Great Pyramid, making sure I have everything spelled correctly, of course. And I didn't see an editor or anything like that, so as long as I have a title and my publishing information in there, I'm going to submit it. And now I have 3 sources. So I'm going to close out of this page because I don't need it anymore. And I want to now, I'm done with my research, I want to make my works cited page. We did this at the beginning of the year, but you're going to print and export to Google Docs. And this is a little bit different than how we did it last year. Now that we all have Google accounts, it's a lot easier for you to be able to do this. And it's going to take a while to load. Okay, and I just realized I forgot a step. So let me go back in here. I need to go to formatting options because this is the first time I've made this, and I need to put a header in there. And that's going to be your last name. Usually when I do a works cited page, I've already gone into all this. So I forgot to do that. Now I want to export to Google Docs. And what we should see, and this is how I'll know if you've done it correctly, is your name in the upper right hand corner. And I'm going to ask that you share this document with me, because that's how I'm going to be able to grade your parenthetical documentation. And so you'll see that it's already titled with the title of your project. Now I want to look at what you're going to actually do for your flyer. The two parts that you actually have to have parenthetical documentation are on the first article that actually introduces your wonder to the world, and then your place article, which is a claims and evidence paragraph about what makes your wonder so wonderful and deserving to be one of the 7 wonders. And so in each of these articles you'll see that I have 3 facts, and to show where my facts came from I had to use some parenthetical documentation. Same with this one. I've got 1, 2, 3. And so you need to have 3 examples of parenthetical documentation. Now, when you look at your works cited page and you look at Noodle Tools, there's a really cool thing that you can do. What we did in class was highlight where the source information was that we needed. But if you're on a computer right now, the neat thing you can do for each source, I've got Great Pyramid here, and click on in-text reference, and it'll bring up a box and it tells me that if I'm going to quote for parenthetical reference, I'm going to use Great Pyramid. So what you can do is go back into your works cited page and highlight that, so that when it's time for you to do your parenthetical, if you use a fact that came from this source, you know what you're going to put in for parentheses. So let's go look at my next one. I've got the one by Martin Howard. Click in-text reference, and it's already open down at the bottom. And it tells me I need Howard and page number because it knows that I'm using a book. So I'm going to go back up to my works cited page, and I'm going to put Howard. I'm going to highlight that, and I know what pages it was because it was just one small chapter of that book. I didn't read the whole book, Wonders of the World. And then I'm going to go do my last one by Leonard Lesko, and that was my World Book article. And it tells me I just used the author's last name. And so this is pretty similar to what we've been doing in class to practice. Now you're going to be applying this to your own wonder. So what I would do is get my research charts open up here, and I could look for where I'm going to use facts. So I knew that for this one, showing what made my wonder so wonderful was that I was going to talk about its size. So I went back to my research chart, found that it was 479 feet high and 756 feet long. And so I wove that into one of my sentences about the size. And then at the end of that sentence, I had to put parenthetical documentation. It came from my print source, Pyramids of Giza, written by Martin Howard. And so if I look at my works cited page, that source tells me that I need to put Howard and a page number. And I can see that I did not do that, so I'm going to go back and add my pages. For any print source, you need to have page numbers. Okay, so what your job is today is to make sure that you have your source works cited page, that you share it with me, that you shared your research charts with me, that you shared your pamphlet with me, and then you can go in and start, if you've already written, making sure that you have parenthetical documentation in there, and making sure that you have your varied sentence structure and all of those other good writing techniques that you need to have in there.